Welcome to the webinar. Appreciate your time today. My name is Jim Guerra. I have George Eckinger here and Candace Arena. We'll be walking you through our robust appetite here at NSM as far as workers' comp. If you have any Q&A, please direct them to the questions box, and we'll get to them after the presentation. We are recording this, so a follow-up email will send a copy of this to you directly. So thank you for joining, and let's get into this. So NSM, we're $1.8 billion in premium. We have operations in the US, about 7 to 8 states here, operations out in the UK. I'm Jim Guerra. I run the workers' compensation division. Candace runs staffing lines, and George runs AllComp. We're excited to see what kind of questions we get today. We're going to go over some recent victories that we wrote recently in the marketplace. We're going to talk about some current trends as well, as far as, where is workers' comp today and where is it going tomorrow? Also, we're going to be having a contest. So the first 6 agents who send us submissions will each receive a $250 gift card. Again, that's going to be if we bind the submission. The account has to be at 10 grand above in premium, but still a very good contest for us to offer. You can send your submissions to the email address shown. And good luck, and hopefully we get some good submissions after this presentation. So again, NSM, we've been around for 30 years. We have about 25 different niches. 2 of the programs that I run are staffing lines at AllComp, so we're the only workers' compensation division at NSM. So we have 21 office locations, countrywide, and some operations out in the UK. The first program that started NSM was actually our staffing lines program, which Candace Arena runs. So we've been in that space for quite some time. George Eckinger runs our AllComp unit, and I think that's probably about the 3rd program that we brought in the umbrella of NSM. Both programs have been growing tremendously over the years, and we have a lot of new partners that we've partnered with in recent years. So we're excited for the growth, and we're excited for the opportunities with you all on the call. So when it comes to specialty programs, you may know some of our other programs. Outside of the comp, we do addiction treatment. We have a collector car company that we own. We have a pet insurance company who is the 3rd largest in the space. Care Providers is a social service company, program that does the package. HAPRO, we're doing habitational property throughout the United States. IOA is a medical stop loss company where we're sitting excess of benefit plans. KBK is a large package writer of tow truck operators all over the country. And then we have PUA, who is architects and engineers. So we're doing the professional liability. Rockpart is doing managed care, so is Sequoia. And then we also have a sports and wellness program. They're doing gyms, fitness studios, rock wall climbing, pretty much anything dedicated to the sports space. And then, of course, we have staffing here, who Candace runs that outfit. And then we have True Transport, who is a unit that does the OCAC for owner-operator 1099 employees. So there's a common thread here among the programs that we have at NSM, and what that is the work comp has to be able to write, be able to serve all the same industries that the other programs serve. So basically, every other program is either doing the package or the auto, or is a B2C situation. So they do not offer comp. So all of the workers' compensation is ran through AllComp and staffing lines. And our appetite mirrors their appetite, and then we have our own niches that we write independent of these programs. So the market right now is a bit of a sad story. Rates have been coming down for the past 9 years as far as comp's concerned. Exposures and losses have been staying relatively the same. We've been seeing a lot of new markets enter the space, obviously between cyber, property, and auto. These are, lines of cover that have, sustained some losses over the years, and people are getting a lot of rate. And what's happening is a lot of ththese lines are not profitable anymore. So what carriers and other folks are doing is they're doubling down in the workers' compensation space. But the problem with that is these guys are not in the market for the long run. So what they're trying to do is balance their portfolio and try to pick up a profitable line of business to help offset their current book, which is in disarray. So when you think of AllComp, you think of staffing lines, you think about 30 years plus in the industry. We're not going anywhere. We know the space. We're dedicated to it. We're open to any kind of risk, any kind of submission. What we like are good stories. So, we are underwriters by nature, and that's what we do, and that's all. I hire our underwriters on this team. And, when it comes to the standard markets and other folks out there, we're willing to listen. We're willing to figure out a workaround, and we're willing to put our best foot forward to write the business and maintain our relationship in the end. So what I'm going to do now is hand it off to George, who runs our AllComp team. George has been with the NSM quite a long time. How many years, George?
12? It'll be 13.
13 years. And
Yeah.
George's background is primarily in the workers' compensation space. He's had some roles in premium audit. He's very handy when it comes to claims. So he is the Johnny on the spot when it comes to AllComp and everything workers' compensation. So there you go, George.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it. So as you mentioned, AllComp Solutions, we're actually, I believe, the second program offering of NSM. We started way back in 1999 as a general work comp program for small to mid-sized accounts. The program really had limited markets at the time, but one of the first, again, work comp programs out there of its kind. Over the last 25 years, AllComp has grown into really your full service work comp program. Like other programs here at NSM, we have underwriting authority. In our case, we have multiple carriers that we have the pen for. But we also have access to 30 other work comp carriers on a wholesale basis. So we're really a hybrid type program. And this model really allows us to not just offer competitive coverage, sometimes multiple quotes, but also, having a wide range of classes and being able to offer a solution for your tougher to place accounts. This longevity in the marketplace has really been our ability to, write niche classes of business and doing it profitably for our carrier partners. This has really allowed us to be a stable option for our agents, has allowed us to be, hold long-standing relationship with the agents that specifically, specialize in these industries. In 2020, one second here. In 2020, AllComp Solutions, along with staffing lines programs, was recognized by Manage HR as one of the top 10 work comp providers in the country, specifically for their expertise in niche markets. So really our goal here for you is to be your one-stop shop work comp provider. As Jim mentioned, there's been some pain with some other lines of coverage. We want to take that pain away from you on the comp, let us run with it, allow us to provide you with competitive options.
And also, we have, by utilizing us, we have access to 3 exclusive arrangements: Service American, Church Mutual, and Old Republic. So these three carriers allow us to underwrite delegated authority on their paper, and we have an illustrious array of classes that we can write with these guys. No one else has access to this, and then like George had mentioned before, the idea is a submission comes in the door, we try and qualify it for our pen. If there's a situation where we're not comfortable with the account, then we'll farm it out to one of the 30 markets that we have. But again, we are underwriters by trade, not necessarily wholesale markets, but we have the markets that we need in order to get the deal done.
Yeah, so staying on, AllComp overview, just kind of give you some scale with our program in 2022, we wrote about $50 million in premium, receiving almost 4,500 new business submissions that year. Our goal this year is to finish at 55 million. So, certainly need your help getting those submissions in the door. Good time to kind of plug our, gift card giveaway as well. So make sure you get those submissions in. We have existing relationship with over 1,000 retail agents across the country. Many of those agencies also, work with one or multiple programs that are offered by NSM. As mentioned, Jim mentioned here that we have the pen for, Service American, Church Mutual, and Old Republic. These really, having access to these three markets really allows us to, provide pricing flexibility depending on certain classes that we receive, and again, ultimately provide you with an option. All three carriers are A-rated and available in all 50 states. Also, I want to highlight here that we do have an in-house claims team that really has been a resource for not just the underwriters in our program, but also to our agencies. If they have questions regarding claims, we're able to make sure that they're being managed aggressively within our program. So we can move on to eligible classes. So again, we have over 300 classes available to us within our programs, but this is really the niches that we target. Schools, social services, nonprofits, they're a wide-ranging industry, but these are really the specific classes that we like to see within that industry. Transportation and towing, really we're targeting tow truck operators, which again is in line with our KBK program. One of the niches that we've maintained within our program and really specializes the equestrian, groomers, trainers, hot walkers. We have an underwriter here, Lucille Myers, that's been underwriting this business for over 15 years. She's really the specialist in this space and doing it with, again, specialized agencies across the country. Another targeted class that we, have been seeing a lot of recently is the behavioral health addiction treatment. We try to partner up with ATP, which is, our package product here at NSM, to service this, increasing, industry. Okay, go to the next slide here. So we're really you would be considered an open distribution network, meaning you don't have to have an appointment with NSM for us to review and quote business. Once we get a bind order in, we're able to then appoint your agency, and that appointment then allow you to have access to not just AllComp, but also to other market or other carrier programs here at NSM. Excuse me. Again, our program markets that have, Church Mutual, Old Republic, Service American, they're licensed in all 50 states. So that really allows us to have the national outreach that we need, to service our national reach with our agencies. Having the 3 pens and the hundreds of class codes available to us, really has allowed us to be an exclusive resource to our agents where, again, they can turn to us for really not just one niche class, but really all their workers' comp needs.
It also allows us to access different structures. So, everything, 99% of the book is guaranteed cost, but we can also offer small deductibles, collateral bearing deductibles, captive options. Depending on the carrier, we can potentially offer a dividend on the back end. So, by utilizing these 3 markets, like George said, it really gives us the flexibility to serve our agents in the industry. Edward.
Next slide here, submission requirements. This is pretty standard. Need a completed Accord 130, which would include the class code and payroll of the operation. Ideally, on larger accounts, we would like to see 3 to 4 years of loss runs, but we do have the ability to write new ventures in certain spaces. Experience my worksheet, we want to make sure that we're including the proper mod ratings within our pricing, and really the mod worksheets on, again, larger accounts where we're performing a loss pick on an account, that would provide us with the historical payroll of the account, and we can see how it's kind of trending over the years. With our niche classes of business, we do have specific supplementals that we would like to collect. We feel like the questions within those supplementals really help us underwrite, the account, and really allow us to become aggressive on the pricing by allowing us to capture that needed information. These supplementals are available on our website. You can see the link there. But again, this is a pretty standard submission requirement. If we get this information in, we can turn these submissions around pretty quickly. I mean, we've received submissions, turned them around, and received bind orders within 24 hours in some cases. So, I know we're kind of barreling down on 7/1 right now, but we still have plenty of time in the insurance world to receive submissions and quote business for 7/1.
And due to time, we are open to reviewing other carrier supplementals as well. Just,
Absolutely.
If we have a 24-hour, 48-hour turnaround, we understand that, we're not going to make you do something twice. So if that's all you have, then that's all we're going to use.
Absolutely. So that is it for AllComp. I'll give you a quick intro with Candace Arenas. So Candace, also like myself, has spent over 15 years in the insurance industry, primarily working with workers' comp insurance. I believe you started your career in claims, quickly switching over to underwriting. So, and most of her experience has been on the company side. So we're definitely fortunate to have her on our team and as a resource to our staffing lines program. So from there, Candace, take it away.
Thanks for the glowing review. No, he's right. Candace Arena, I am the underwriting manager on the staffing lines program. So welcome everyone. Good afternoon or good morning for the West Coast folks. But I will walk you through the staffing lines program here at NSM. Some of the stuff may be, kind of duplicate from AllComp, but it'll be a good refresher. So the staffing lines program, we service temporary, permanent outplacement agencies. Much like AllComp, we focus on the workers' comp industry, but our focus obviously is specific to staffing. You'll see the primary classes listed below there. This is where the majority of business is, but it's not an all-inclusive list. So, similar to AllComp, social services, nonprofits, and education, medical, hospitality, light industrial, manufacturing, clerical and IT, artists and contracting, and addiction treatment are probably where the bulk of our business is. But again, that's not meaning that we don't write things elsewhere. It's just that's where the bulk of the business is. So if you have something outside of that, certainly send it in or give us a call, and I'd be happy to talk to you about it. Go to the next. Thanks, Ryan. So the Staffing Lines program was or is the longest running program at NSM. It was started by our president, Jeff McKernan, in 1996. It was one of the first programs, and like I said, it's the longest running program at NSM. So something, definitely to be proud of. It is also one of the first programs in the United States to be a staffing program. So we've been around a long time, and we will be around a long time. I think Jim might have mentioned, some carriers or markets jumping in and out of the staffing space or just the workers' comp space in general, thinking that they can make money on it. But, you really have to be a specialist and have expertise in workers' comp to do it well and make money. And we have that. So, they'll jump into it, realize they can't make money, jump out of it, or re-underwrite the book and non-renew things. And that's not the model here. And, we've been a stable model and we want to be a stable model. So I will just leave you with that on our longevity front. We have about $35 million in premium in the staffing lines alone. That's growing every year. And then we have the underwriting pen for 4 partners. That's Arch, Service American, Old Republic, and Church Mutual. I know a lot of other markets would have 1 or 2 underwriting pens. We have 4, which is, kind of very unique. So we, have the bandwidth, we have the LCMs, pricing flexibility, to be able to really place any account that you would send to us. We also work with about 5 wholesale markets. So if, one of these, if an account comes in and it's not fit for our program, but we still, like the risk, we can send it to one of our wholesale markets and see if we can write it there. So really with the partners we have in our wholesale markets, especially in the staffing space, when there's not a ton of players, we should have every market that you need. Much like you would need in the staffing space also, we offer pay-as-you-go. That's, very important for staffing risk to be able to, manage payrolls, getting new clients, different changes in class codes. So we have a pay-as-you-go program, and but it's not required if the insured would want an installment plan. We offer that as well. But I know a couple markets that don't offer, pay-as-you-go, and we do have that. So that's very important, very important. We can write in all 50 states. There's no, state requirements. And then we use a TPA, PMA for our claims and risk management, but we also have an in-house claims team that oversees kind of the TPA relationship. We meet with them bi-weekly or monthly, and, just make sure we're staying on top of the claims. If there's litigation involved, we're checking reserves, pursuing subrogation where needed, just, getting the best outcome for the insureds, our agents, and ourselves, honestly. So that claims team is led by a former attorney, and they do a really good job of staying on top of them and bringing the claims to us, and let's talk about them and what we can do different. So a huge resource. And then on the risk management side with PMA, we have a full kind of accompaniment of risk management resources. If the account is, we have some very large accounts that are, highly specified and some tougher class codes and need a lot of risk management resources. We have the capability to offer those, site visits, inspections, safety meetings, accident investigations, those sort of things. So it's not a one size fits all for the risk management. We want it to be tailored to the individual needs of the client. If it's a very small account, $10,000 clerical, and they don't want risk management, that's fine too. So we don't just say, everyone gets 3 service visits a year or whatever the case is. We really want to tailor it to the client. And then by finding an account with us, you would have access to PMA's, library of risk management resources. So if you needed a toolbox talk or safety training, you have access to all of those things. So that's definitely a plus that we have the risk management capabilities as well. And then just some new and exciting things that we have going on the staffing program. As I mentioned previously about Old Republic and Service American, Old Republic is a newer relationship to us. They're only writing staffing for NSM, so you would not have access to that otherwise. We have additional capacity with Service American. So like I mentioned previously, we really have the bandwidth, the LCM flexibility and pricing flexibility to get it done with one of our partners. And most of these are exclusive relationships to NSM. So you're not going to be able to get a quote from Arch, Staffing Otherwise, or Service American, or Church Mutual, or Old Republic. So you can come to us knowing that it's not going to be submitted in from another agent, which is, not the case for a lot of market. And then we offer enhanced commission on preferred class codes. So accounts that have 10 class codes or less. So, you're focusing on your scientific, technical, clerical, and very light hazard codes, 10 codes or less, profitable 40% developed loss ratio or better, and business for 3 years, we're giving enhanced commission. We code those, it's kind of vanilla business that's really good business, but that we want more of, but sometimes it's tough to write. So we're trying to entice our agents by, giving some enhanced commission on those class codes to get some of this business. And the accounts don't need to be large. It could be $10,000 or $100,000. I mean, that business is traditionally very low loss ratio and really good business to have on the books. So, and we can turn around those accounts also very quickly and very easily. And then lastly, I will talk about our new captive offering, and there's a slide, the next, we'll go into that a little bit further. So we have access at NSM, most recently to the PEC staffing captive that is through Eastern Alliance. I was an underwriter at Eastern for almost 9 years. So I know the Eastern team, I know their appetite, their underwriting philosophy, kind of, the services and what they can offer. So we're excited to be able to offer that. If you have a client that wants to consider a captive, this could be a good option. It's not the right thing for everyone, but it's nice to have that in our kind of arsenal, our toolbox, that, we now have a captive offering. Just some kind of, I won't go through all the bullets of the captive. We can talk offline if you have, additional questions, but there is a minimum premium of $150,000. There is a collateral component, and it's in states east of the Mississippi. So unfortunately, Midwest or West Coast does not really apply unless it's kind of incidental. But so those are three, kind of important things to consider about the captive. But like I said, if you want more information, we can talk offline. We're happy to do that. I also have a flyer about the PEC captive.
Yeah, it's a pretty slick program. The retention is about $150,000. It's only one fund, so there's one fund you're going to fund. It's not an A or B like Captive Resources and other products that are out there. But yeah, I mean, it's as far as price, it's one of the cheapest priced captives that I would recommend.
And just, speaking of, I'll just offer one more point about the captive. It is on Eastern Alliance paper. It's handled by Eastern Alliance claims team and Eastern Alliance risk manager. So there's no third-party vendors being used. It's all Eastern Alliance paper. So, you're getting the same great product that you would get on a guaranteed cost, but in a staffing captive with them. So, and then lastly, submission requirements, very similar to AllComp. We want the Accord 130 application completed. We would like the staffing line supplemental. You can download that at staffinglines.com. If you have another supplemental completed, that all the staffing lines or all the staffing supplementals are very similar, so that's generally fine. We don't want you to complete 6, supplementals, as long as the questions are there. That's, like I said, generally fine. 3 to 5 years of currently valued loss runs, and then we'd like to have the most current experience mod worksheet. And we can work with any agency partner. So if you've not, worked with us in the past, that's fine. You would send in the submission, and if we bound the account, we would get the agency management agreement signed. It's actually a very seamless and easy process. So you don't need to get an appointment ahead of time or anything. You can send in the submission today. So that's it for the staffing program. I'm going to turn it back over to George for some recent wins for AllComp.
Thank you, Candace. So first one here, nonprofit win. Risk is located in New York, so it's obviously a tougher state for work comp. Pricing flexibility is minimal there. But again, it's within our niche, class of business, nonprofit school for developmentally disabled children. Premium size, $150,000. So it was a nice win for us. But really, the details of this account was, it was had been with the New York State Insurance Fund for several years. Really a low frequency account, had some really good controls in place, which we verified, through the review of the submission. But they had a large, MVA loss, 2 years ago, which really kind of impacted, the loss ratio, but also, caused the experience mod to increase quite a bit on the mod. But we looked at that as an advantage to us, allowed us to get additional pricing on the account that we felt that we needed. And really the over-the-road exposure for this particular risk was very minimal. So, through our review, we felt like the pricing, made sense. Again, we were getting the benefit of that higher mod in the first year. So we know that mod's going to continue for the next 2 more years to allow us to get sufficient pricing on the account. So next one. For the retail store operation, this one is a little bit more near and dear to my heart. I grew up about 10 minutes from where this risk was located. It's a 1-1 account, so good start to the year. Unfortunately, it was actually being non-renewed by a carrier that was actually writing all lines for them. The comp was really, not just the comp, the auto was an issue. So, that caused the agent to have to really go out and find an all lines quote. Replace all lines. And, we really ran with the comp for them. They didn't have other options, multi-line carriers that wanted the comp. And we were able to, turn it around fairly quickly. We did a pre-inspection, which actually helped us sell the account to the insured. And, for the first year, because we're taking a bit of a reach on it, we actually quoted it with a $10,000 small deductible. Really, it was needed because of the losses, but, it gave the insured, some skin in the game on this first year. And, so again, it was just a really sort of exciting, type of opportunity that, kind of gets the wheels going for us. So, so that's, and that was with one of our, wholesale markets. So that's where our strength comes in as well with those carriers. I think you're taking this one, right?
Yeah, thanks, George. Yeah, this one was a $87,000 tow truck operator. So again, we have the pen for the comp, and then we also have a program down in Louisiana called KBK that does the P&C. They're about $200 million in premium. So if we're providing comp options, we can also provide the P&C through them, and vice versa. This particular account was a high mod situation. The account was being non-renewed, and they used to have some repo operations that they discontinued. So again, it kind of goes back to that story that we like to hear, and we're willing to listen to make sure that, where the standard markets kind of stopped listening, that's where we picked up. So the fact that they were able to discontinue the repo operations and focus more on the garage and auto contract auto towing is where we thought this was a good account, and we were able to get the agent out a little bit of hot water, and it's been a profitable account for us, and it's going to continue to be one. So our appetite for tow is pretty broad. What we don't like are chasers and repossession, but everything else, and obviously underwater, heavy tow, but all intents and purposes, everything else with the industry, we can handle. Back to you, George.
Thank you. Addiction treatment. This is another targeted class, not just in the AllComp department, but as mentioned, we have our separate program writing the P&C, ATP, and this one located in California, where we certainly see a lot of these submissions coming from. This was a program opportunity for us. Really the key to success here is a new venture, and this is something that we're starting to see a lot of within this space. you know, as this industry continues to grow, you know, new ventures are popping up, but we really look at new ventures in this space in that, you know, it's not just, hey, we decided to open our doors. This takes years to obtain the licensing for the facilities. You're hiring, you know, professional licensed individuals that have gone through, you know, schooling and thousands of hours to get their licensure. You know, this is really, you know, and then screening within the state, going through background checks. You know, it's almost built-in loss control, not loss control, but like employee screening. So, you know, the underwriting is almost already done for you on these accounts. And, but, you know, it's something that a lot of the standard markets will not touch because it's a, you know, no prior new venture situation. So we were able to actually, you know, couple this, our workers' comp quote with an ATP quote. And, you know, again, we're able to be that one-stop shop for an agent within this class of business.
Yeah, this is an equine account that we wrote previously for a couple of years, and we lost it. A market entered in the space that really didn't have any kind of background within the equine space and wrote it relatively cheaply. So we lost the account. I believe servicing and the market at the time not really committing to the equine space. And amongst other things was a reason why I drove the account back out the market, and we wrote it again this year. We tend to see this in the space. We'll see some folks that think it's a good idea to get in the equine work comp space, and then 2-3 years they get out. So we've been doing this for 30 years within equine specifically. Good account. We had a loss on it. I think it was a 6-figure loss, and we need to get a little bit of rate. So we got a little bit of rate. And a market appeared out of nowhere, and there are no longer writing equine business. So now we're seeing a lot of business that they've written over the past couple of years come back out the market, and we're really the authority in this space. I mean, there's probably only 2 markets that, and we're one of the 2, and the other market is kind of going through a transition period right now. But we love the equine space. We're doubling down in it. You know, we had 12 horses in the last Kentucky Derby this year, and this past Kentucky Derby. My goal is to have all 20. You know, between the claims handling and the expertise that we have at the underwriting desk, between Lucille, who writes equine specific accounts, and some ag. You know, she knows the trainers, the groomers, all the players in the space, and you know, we have more markets dedicated to this space than anyone else has. So we have about 4 markets already equine for us, and you know, we intend on growing this aggressively.
Jim also takes side bets during the races, so if you have a bet,
Yeah.
make sure you contact him there.
20 horses.
I mean, it's made me a lot of money.
I will go over some staffing lines wins. The first one is an education and childcare risk. It's a pretty large premium, 2.8, almost 2.9 million. It was a June account that we wrote, located in California. And really the keys to success for winning this business were just that, you know, we had multiple options. You know, the agent wanted to explore a loss sensitive option. We, you know, came to table with that and ended up staying. We ended up writing it on guaranteed cost, but you know, they didn't need to go anywhere else because we had the options that they needed. So that was a really good win. Next one, written in Kansas City, light industrial, manufacturing, and janitorial. We wrote this account in April, just shy of 450,000. This account kind of, and I think Jim mentioned this earlier, is listening to the story. This account had some tougher class codes on the risk. If you just looked at it on paper, you'd be like, oh, you know, there's some tough janitorial and restoration and some other codes. But you know, we spoke with the agent and what are they actually doing in these codes, and found that it's really, you know, they're doing some punch list stuff and, you know, lower hazard than the code implies, but you're getting the rate for a higher, you know, getting the rate for that higher code. So we listened to the story and we're able to get a comfort level with the account and write the business. And then this one was a Texas risk written. It's a medical account, nursing homes and hospital. We wrote this new in March, about 110,000. And this is an account that we actually quoted in the fall. And then there was some circumstances that we did not win the business. But the agent remembered us. The account kind of changed, went into some different states that were a problem for the current market. And they came back to us and said, hey, I think the underwriter had to turn around in maybe like 2 days or something. And we did that. So, just goes to show you that we can turn around business really quickly. And we, bound that account for March. That was a really good win. We initially, didn't win the account, but it came back around, about 6 months later. So that was a positive one. And the last one, I'm going to let Jim talk about.
Yeah, this was an interesting situation. So this was a startup staffing industry, staffing firm. They had a PEO that they were running a lot of business through, and the idea was they wanted to carve out their light manufacturing warehouse work through a dedicated, work comp policy to pick up those exposures, and basically keep the other exposures with their PEO and have them run side by side. So knowing that the insured has been in the space, 20 plus years, and they had something, in place with the PEO, really what we underwrote here was a resume and the PEO and how they ran, and between the agent and the insured, just having a level of trust with the two of them, we were able to put a nice option out there for them. And we're always willing to do that. So, if it's a situation where, a lot of these firms get bought and sold, and guys and gals get back in the industry and try to start over again. So if someone has a proven track record, we're willing to listen, and we'll see what we can do from a quote standpoint. So now it's time for Q&A. Hopefully you guys have been submitting some questions and to the question box. And we're going to have Liz from marketing serve as our moderator. So take it, Liz.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. We have been getting lots of questions in through that questions box. So thanks everyone for sharing those. Let's start off with a question from Donna. She asked, what is the minimum premium for AllComp?
I'll take that one. We really don't have one. So obviously it depends on the risk. It depends on the industry. It depends on whether or not, we can make a buck at it, right? So I would say, just to be safe, I don't know, George, what do you want to do? $1,000 minimum?
Yeah, I mean, again, we have, 30 plus markets. So although we might not be able to consider it based on, like Jim said, the class, the situation surrounding the account, we can always turn to our wholesale, carriers
Right.
as well. So, yeah, I really don't want to put I hate putting a minimum premium on something without knowing, the details of the account. But look, we just, we don't want to make a judgment before we see anything. So, I would say just, safe to submit it. We'll talk about what markets we have, and,
Right.
We're able to provide an option for you.
So we're all comp, not some comp. So we want to see all submissions.
That's right.
I love that. Next, let's go to Brenda's question. She said, what about farm and ranch workers comp outside of equestrian?
Yes, we like that business. Actually, we're trying to write more of that business to help expand our equine book. So, we like ranches, wineries, vineyards. Really, we're pretty open to that business. I would say, as far as a minimum premium for there, I would want to be somewhere around $25,000 or above for that business, just because of the severity that is, that comes along with it. But yeah, I mean, we're definitely doubling down that space, and we like to see more of it. And we're actually running a farm and ranch program that should launch next year. That's going to write the package on that business. So, so this time next year, we'll be able to write all lines.
Yeah, great plug for the new program, Jim. Another market question. Under the staffing program, do you have a cannabis market?
I can take that if you want, Candace.
Sounds good.
So yeah, we do have a staffing market. I mean, not a staffing market, a cannabis market. East of the Mississippi, we can look at those accounts. We're not in the West Coast. So all states east of the Mississippi, we have a potential market for staffing cannabis accounts, and that goes for non-staffing business as well.
Great. We got lots more questions coming in, so we'll get to as many as we can. And if we don't get to your question, we're logging all of them and someone from the team will get back to you. Our next one, let's see. A couple people asked about who to contact for the different markets within staffing lines and AllComp. So Ryan, would you mind going to our last slide that shows contact info for people? And then Jim, if you want to share how it's best.
So if it's AllComp, it's George. If it's staffing, it's Candace. If you don't know what it is, it's me. So, if there's any issues, me, but from a day-to-day and all that good stuff, any generic comp that's non-staffing would be George, and anything staffing related would be Candace. And I'm more or less if there's an issue or you just have a question in general about something.
Perfect. Yep. So if anyone wants to screenshot this, we're also going to be, Jim will send an email today that you'll have his contact info. You'll be getting the slides and the recording of this. And then make sure if you want to enter that contest to include the word contest somewhere in that email. So we'll give you credit for it once your submission binds. Let's move on to a question from Nick. Nick said, hi folks, thanks so much for all the info here. Do you do any used household goods moving and storage, class 8293?
We do. George, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly something that we don't, I think we have two markets that we'll consider, again, depending on where it is, where it's located in the country. But, that's definitely a tougher to place account, manual moving of furniture going into the homes, driving. I mean, it has, some of the toughest exposures you can have for comp. But, again, we do have, and we can certainly address this offline too, what markets we have, get more details about the account. But, I think, Jim, do we have a...
Yeah, I was going to say this when you're done. We have an OCAC program that focuses on moving and storage specifically, because a lot of times these guys are 1099 owner operators. So we have a program that is specific to moving and storage, in addition to the markets that we have that will write the comp for it. So, yeah, we would love to hear more about the risk and see how we can help.
And for any of these other programs that these guys are mentioning, they're happy to connect you to those other program folks too. So reach out to Jim, George, or Candace. If they need to connect you to anyone else at our organization, they'll make that introduction for you.
Yeah, and by large, if there's any kind of question about any program, or you have a social service account, need the other lines done, or addiction treatment account where you need the package, I'll make sure I connect the dots and get it to where it needs to go and make introductions on your behalf.
Awesome. Let's move on to a question from Crystal. She asks, do you write PEOs specifically for staffing organizations?
So we don't, but we will write folks that are coming out of a PEO. So if it's a company that's in a PEO now, say it's a medical staffing account that is within a PEO and they're trying to go out and get a standard coverage, we'll write that all day long. We're just not offering PEO structures.
Got it. Next, a question from Wendy. Do you only have an appetite for large businesses? We have individual coaches sometimes looking for workers' comp for sports camps.
No, I mean, that's something we could definitely look at. Yeah, I mean, we don't just do large business. We do, I mean, we write $1,000 policies, we write $1 million policies. It's all over the place. So that's something that we could take a look at.
Great. Next, we have a question from Dior about staffing for Candace. She said she's having trouble with smaller staffing companies starting out with a few employees and trying to get workers' comp started. She ended up writing some with state risk assigned NCCI What kind of premium should they expect? Rate, MP, qualified for a policy? Is new venture a hard no?
New venture is definitely not a hard no. I mean, like she had mentioned, if, you know, there's 1 or 2 employees, you know, and it's $600, we probably can't do it. But if they have, you know, a proven, some clients already on board, and they think the estimated premium is going to be a little bit larger, and we have a good resume and a good story, that's, you know, we write a lot of new ventures. But if they're super small, those are tougher risks, and I know they're also very tough to place. We get some of those. But we're open to listening to the story. I guess that's the message I want to convey, is like, send those to us and we'll see what we can do to help out. It might not be a fit every time, but we'll help out, you know, where we can for those new ventures.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to new ventures, it helps if it's got a little bit of premium. So if it's at least, you know, 50 to 100 grand, that gets our attention. But if it's a little lower, you know, we're making exceptions for a lot of different things. And if there's a decent amount of premium to contain a loss, if one were to happen, then it's a different story.
Couple final questions that I think will be quick answers. Brenda asked, who should she submit farm and ranch workers comp to? I believe that'll be George.
Yeah, and then George will spin that around to Lucille Myers.
Great. Can you write in the 5 boroughs of New York? Asks Philip.
All day long.
Jay asked, do you do social services?
Yeah, we need more of it. We love social services. We love addiction treatment, behavioral health. We love that space, and I need to see more of it.
Great. And our last question to round things out, and I know this is a complicated one, what is the standard commission?
So standard commission is going to be above average. Average comp commission nationwide is about 7%. Sounds low, but that's the average. You know, depending on where you're located in the country, you know, we make exceptions. California State Fund pays 12. So, you know, we typically pay 12 as well. But on new business, we try to pay around 8 to 10.
Awesome. And one final plug for anyone sending in submissions after this call, make sure you include the word contest in one of your emails so you get credit and hopefully win one of those $250 prizes. All right, back to you, Jim, to close things out. And if Ryan, you want to back it up one slide.
So just wanted to thank everybody again for your time today. You know, we're a tested marketplace. We've been around for 30 plus years. We're not going anywhere. You know, hopefully we can make your lives easier when it comes to dealing with the workers' compensation. That's all we do. That's all we do here. And, you know, hopefully we get to work together and we could, you know, put some premium on the board together. So just want to thank Candace and George for their time today, yours, Liz. And if anyone has any questions, you know, going forward, you guys can call me directly or drop me a note. And same goes for Candace and George as well. So thanks again for your time today, and hopefully we see some submissions.